How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Good to see you. I got to start by just saying how awesome our fans were the other night. I have not had a single game experience here in a year and a half where I haven't gotten emotional on the Gamecock walk and then just feeling the energy and support in that stadium. But it was at a whole different level on Saturday night, from the minute we got off the bus through pregame and obviously the opening kickoff, but right up till the very end. It was incredible, and I can't imagine another stadium in the country last Saturday that was louder than ours, and just that support from our fan base is amazing, and I certainly don't take it for granted, and I don't think anybody in this building does. So it was special, and it was special to be able to get a big win for everybody. We got to give a lot of credit to Shane Beamer and the job that he's doing right now preparing this team. I've been doing this for 30 years, and half of that time as a head coach, I think I have a little bit of perspective on this. I mean, we came in here a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, and this was a pretty monumental task to rebuild this program. And this guy just led us to 2 marquee wins the last 2 weeks, and over 2 very established, successful head coaches, I might add. And he's only been a head coach for a year and a half, going on 2 years now. So, that just doesn't happen all the time. There's a lot of coaches that get hired and have to rebuild programs, and sometimes, year 1 is 2-10 or 3-9, and year 2, you're still just trying to get a couple wins and get a little bit of momentum going and try to find anything to build off of. And here we are in the thick of things in late October. It's unbelievable, and he's obviously got an incredible energy level, and that is where it all starts. But his growth and maturity as a head coach, and how he's getting better and better and better, being a CEO of this organization, and on game day, the perspective he has, and the perspective he has leading us up to that point, like right up until that last team meeting, and his message to the team about what that crowd was going to be like, but not letting that distract us from the task at hand, and being incredibly focused on what we need to do to win this game. It was perfect. I mean, he doesn't even sit down anymore. If you go in his office, he's got one of those, stand-up desks, you know what I mean? So he's in here at 6 a.m, and he's standing really until whenever he leaves. So I'm just really impressed and proud of him, and he's just doing a fabulous job. The opening kickoff obviously couldn't have been any more well-timed, and really proud of Xavier. Last year we had some good kickoff returns, but there were a lot of returns that we left some yards on the field and had some missed opportunities, and a lot of it just went back to timing. Blocking people is important, but the timing, how you catch the ball, picking the right ones to return, the timing with the off returner, the up backs, it's the key to the whole thing. So going back to last spring, we dedicated a lot of time with those kind of back pieces to the return, and we really opened up a competition, and we said, we're going to find the best people to do this. And Xavier emerged time after time. And I remember just talking to our staff and saying, I think this guy can be special because he's got the combination of speed and size and athleticism, and he caught the ball back there very naturally, and he was very passionate about wanting to do it and learning and putting in the extra time. Now, that's kind of the backstory to what actually happened. The play itself was really like a Clint Eastwood Western. It was the good, the bad, and the ugly. You had the good, which was the blocks into the boundary were very good. Kenyon had a great block. Bam Martin Scott had great second effort and ended up on the kicker coming off his double team. DK Joyner and Tonka both executed very well. So that was the good. The bad, Nate Atkins actually got a little bit dinged up at practice on Wednesday and had to go get an ankle taped or whatever and missed some reps in the kickoff return period as fate would have it. And still felt like he was ready to go and play in the game, but his timing was a little bit off. And, you miss 3 reps in practice, and it's amazing how it shows up on game day. So that was the bad. And then the ugly, quite frankly, was our backside blocks were not up to our standards. They went through us back there like German panzers across France. We looked like Roger Dorn fielding ground balls on third base in Major League back there. But it was just enough time and space for Xavier to get going. And then obviously it was a great effort by him and a great feel, sliding to the boundary, keeping his balance, running through some arm tackles. And then obviously finishing the run with one shoe. So a great way to start. And there's nothing more awesome in football, and I don't mean this with any disrespect to the opponent, but when you run a kickoff back along the opponent's sideline, it doesn't get much better than that. That's like standing on the street corner as a coach. You're a regular guy. You're standing on the street corner, and a car goes by, and your girlfriend's sitting in the passenger seat of some other guy's car. That's the analogy that feels like when that kickoff return goes by you, down your sideline. So in terms of momentum, and Shane's always saying, momentum plays. That's right there at the top of the list in terms of the impact of it. So that was awesome. There were some other, really big plays by special teams in the game that maybe, didn't get as much attention. We forced a shank punt. That was one of the best punters we'll see all year. And it was a 28-yard punt, which gave us the ball in plus territory. Little things like that, those hidden yards we talk about in games. Tonka Hemingway just continues to do great things for our football team on defense and special teams. And we kick a low PAT, it gets blocked, but he is in position. And we just watched a clip on Thursday of Alabama getting one blocked against Texas A&M, and their wing not being in position when the ball was blocked. And that exact situation happened to Tonka. He was in position, great reaction, runs the guy down, and arguably saves the day with that tackle along their sideline right there. So making something good out of something bad. Kickoff coverage, we got them down at the 21 and the 12 on the 2 balls that they returned, and that returner was extremely dangerous. Punt coverage, we covered 4 balls that they returned. I think they had 14 total yards. So that stuff was really good. And then I mentioned the block PAT, and the must onsides for as great as great of his game as Xavier had. He kind of froze right there on that onsides kick and could have been more aggressive and went up and fielded that ball before it went 10 yards. And something we do practice, and we just got to go out there and execute better when we're put in those situations. And it was a really good kick by them as well. But so a lot of highs and lows, but it was exciting to come out on the better end of it, and extremely proud of the kids. And we're since Sunday night, we've been moving on to the next big challenge.
Their onside kick, I believe they had 2 kickers out there.
They did.
Is that something that they've shown in the past? Or
Yes. Yeah, we worked on it on Friday. You know, your hands and must onside stuff, to be totally honest, you get about 5 minutes a week on the field to work it. And so, you know, we go back years and years and years and look at anything that the opponent may have done. And that's something they've done fairly recently because they do have the two kickers that have both played in games on their roster. So we not that we got that exact kick, because every onside kick is hard to replicate, but we did go over that look on Friday and a kick to that exact side. So, you know, in terms of going in, at least we saw something we were expecting to see. We didn't execute, which I'm disappointed in, but we'll learn from it.
Following up on that, on the onside kick, certainly it takes a certain level of courage to be on the special teams to begin with. Does it take an extra level of courage to be on the hands team? And do you look at certain guys and their demeanor when you decide who goes on the hands team? You mentioned like Xavier should have been a little more aggressive. Does that just go back to having courage up front to make that play in that critical situation?
Well, he certainly has courage. If you saw him cover that kickoff, he was doing about 22 miles an hour and made a hard left-hand turn to get number 6 on the ground. So it starts with guys with good hands. That's number one. And then number 2, guys that can understand the concepts of how to align based on certain formations. They have certain responsibilities, so there's a lot of attention to detail. And then from there, we give them some guidelines as to how they should react if the ball comes to them, whether it's a ball they can field, whether it's a ball that they need to let go if it's hot and go to the second level. And then from there, you're entrusting them to make full-speed decisions and hopefully good decisions and aggressive decisions. So I'm confident that X will learn from that, and if he's put in that situation again, I think he'll react positively to it.
Pete Shane made a decision late in that game to try to go for it on the 4th down and not kick the field goal there. What were the conversations like between you and him in that? And as a head coach, you've been a head coach before. What are you thinking about as a head coach in those situations, deciding whether or not to just effectively end the game if you're getting a first down or kicking a field goal?
Yeah, there's no question that was one of those trust your gut moments. And I think that's where Shane and I are a lot alike in terms of how we approach those situations. You have the analytics side to it, and then you also have to trust your gut. And we were all on the same page right there in terms of what we needed to do. And we're also well aware that Texas A&M had a heck of a field goal block unit too. So in a game like that, that's certainly factoring into your decision making.
Pete, not to keep talking about the KO return, but when Xavier gave his little peace sign demonstration, was that more of Doran fielding one off his hips, or was that something to celebrate?
Yeah, that was certainly not pre-planned. But that's very appropriate if you know, we call him Easy Rider, right? That's his nickname. So very appropriate that Easy Rider had the peace sign going, or maybe it was the V for victory. Either way, but yeah, no, I think that was just a instinctual reaction after breaking through a couple arm tackles, and bam, Martin Scott put the kicker on his rear end, and X knew he was in the clear, that he knew he was home free at that point.
Did they revoke that celebration rule?
I don't think that was, if he would have like pointed at an opponent, or if he would have done something more egregious, to use an SAT word, then that would have been a problem. But I think this was very harmless, what he did, and it was quick. It wasn't over the top by any means.
Hey, Pete, hope you're doing well. Shane was in here yesterday talking about how the secondary getting healthy has really benefited special teams, just with gunners and things like that. How much does it help you as a coordinator when you've got guys like that who are, I guess, you can put more guys in more spots on punts and kicks?
Well, to give you a tangible example, Darius Rush being healthy now, and being back at gunner, he had 3 tackles. He could have easily been the special teams player of the week as well, not only in our building, but for the conference. I mean, he did a massive job at gunner, and having him back and healthy for these last 2 games has been huge. So we try to do a really good job of balancing everything. To give you another tangible example, DQ Smith played 82 snaps at nickel in that game, but he was also a starter on the kickoff coverage. So that's something we're always looking at to keep those things in perspective so that we don't put a guy in a bad spot, because sometimes a backup who's fresh may be more effective than a guy who's starting on offense or defense, but he's playing a ton of snaps in the game. So we're always trying to keep that in perspective. And then there's certain units where it's just going to be non-negotiable and it takes a huge priority, like the punt team. So if you look out there on the punt team and you see somebody who's playing every snap on offense or defense, don't be surprised, because that's a unit where we're just absolutely going to have the most reliable guys we can.
Hey, Pete.
Hi.
On that blocked extra point that you guys had, just what on film did you see kind of went wrong there? Was that an issue with Mitch? Was it an issue with the hold, with the snap? Just kind of, is that something that's preventable, or was it just kind of a fluky thing?
Yeah, it's interesting. We always put an emphasis on getting the ball up, because more PATs and field goals are blocked up the middle on what we call the flight line of the ball. So the angle at which the ball's going to come from that spot and go through the middle of the goalpost, and that's where most people are trying to get hands up on that flight line. So that's something we constantly preach about, getting the ball up. And if you watch and study Mitch really closely, when he hits a good ball, there's just a little bit of dirt, there's just a little bit of turf that he'll catch. And when he does, that means he's hitting that sweet spot of the ball where he's going to get great rotation, and that thing is going to go up. And we actually drill every week a height drill where we'll put the kickers 7 yards from the goalpost in the end zone, and now they've got to get that ball up to that 10 feet off the ground where it's 7 yards back. So that's something that we constantly work on. And if you watch that particular kick, he just didn't get that little bit of dirt, that little bit of turf that he normally does. So that tells you he was striking higher on the ball, and it came off much more like a line drive. So that was unfortunate timing, because this was a team that was very effective getting penetration, super explosive defensive tackles in there. Nick Barrett did get knocked back some. But if you look at the film, the guy that blocked it, big, long defensive lineman, but it wasn't like he was super high up in the air either. He did a good job getting his hand on the flight line. He was well coached, well prepared. But the bottom line is it's got to be a much higher kick.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would not think that many punters feature on hands teams for recovering onside kicks.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be a big surprise around here with Kai and what he does, but what has gone into that in him being there?
A couple things. You're right. He has got incredible hands. And when you think about it, punters, that's what they're doing all day. They're catching balls. And even when we're not actually punting, I mean, there's a 10-minute period every day where those guys are just catching balls off the jugs, catching balls that are getting thrown to him underhand. He catches more balls than anybody in the building. And the other thing is, when we're working on must-onside kicks, he's also getting those reps. So instead of just being a guy who's getting 1 or 2 reps on a Friday on the hands team, Kai is getting reps on Sunday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. So when it comes to putting him in the game at that position over the course of the season, he's literally getting hundreds of reps, where guys that have to start on that unit may be getting a handful of reps. So I have tremendous confidence in putting him out there and his hands. And now he was, we were talking about Xavier on that play earlier. Kai needed to be more aggressive too. And you've heard receiver coaches talk about becoming the defensive back and breaking up a ball and not allowing it to be intercepted, right, if they can't make the play. We see that happen on Saturdays and Sundays. That kick for Kai, if he is a little bit more aggressive and goes to make a play on it, even if he can't come down with it, he can at least jar it loose and make it a scramble for the ball where we've got a 50-50 chance to recover it.
Was that a teaching moment for Kai, or does he
No
get
question.
benched off the hands team?
No. I look, you got to. There's always times as a coach where you feel like, okay, you've done the best you can, and you've trained a guy, and maybe he's just not the right fit for that spot at that time. But I don't feel that way about Kai, and he knows that's part of his job, and we're always looking for roles for our specialists, roles in practice, where they contribute to things that are going on offense and defense, and then also roles that they can fulfill like that on the team. Hunter Rogers, who, as we know, is also a fabulous athlete, he's been on the hands team for us now, going back to last season as well. So those are two guys that are good athletes that have as good a ball skills as many guys on our team, and appreciate them putting the time and effort into it. But we've got to execute. We executed the week before. Josh Van did a fabulous job, and we've got to do a better job, everybody across the board, on that unit.
Pete, obviously you've been a head coach for a long time in the college football, and I think it was both you and Clayton that had your names thrown around for the Charlotte opening. I guess I'm curious, what's it like to kind of see, whether it's you or Clayton or other folks in the staff sort of generating that kind of interest in sort of the larger sphere of college football, and I guess, what's that kind of like in terms of what you guys are doing right now at South Carolina?
Sure. Well, it's a huge compliment to everybody in our program when you've had success and you have great leadership and you've got momentum, and people are mentioning coaches on our staff for other opportunities. It's a positive reflection on everyone here and the job that we're doing and the success that we're having as a team, and then those units, obviously. For me, and I think this is something I've made abundantly clear every time I get the opportunity to, I love it here. And I love my role here. This is a place where I feel great doing the job that I get to do. I work for a great guy. He's got my back. I've got his back. We have come a long way as a team, and I think that's starting to show up in terms of what we're doing out there on the field, in terms of results, but also just what you're seeing, how these guys have bought into what we're doing. We got a great staff here that I look forward to working with every day, and just some people on our support staff that I consider dear friends that I look forward to seeing every day, and trust, and these players and so forth. So, I appreciate that. And look, I mean, I enjoyed being a head coach. And someday, if the right opportunity comes along and it's the right fit, I would love to be a head coach again. But I'm certainly not looking, and my complete focus is on what we are doing here. And this is a very fulfilling job. So everything, right down to the community, the campus community, the athletic administration. I mentioned the fans earlier. I mean, this is a great place to live and work. So very, very, very happy and more fulfilled every day here. We had a Tuesday practice that was so businesslike, and it was awesome. Like, we've been waiting to have one of those for a long time. So a lot of good things going on here right now, but I appreciate the compliment. You guys made it easy on me today. All right. Thank you.